Polyhydric alcohols are a category of food additives that we will now discuss. They are also called as polyols, or another term that is used for them is sugar alcohols. So they are a class of sugar molecules basically that have got hydroxyl group in that. That is why they are called as sugar alcohols. The purpose of using these sugar alcohols, it can be different depending upon the type of polyol or depending upon the food product that we are talking about. But generally, one of the function of these polyol is to increase the moisture retention within the food or to improve the texture of certain food products. They can be present in food in the natural form as well. For example, glycerin is one of the polyol. It is also called as glycerol. So this is one of the component of mostly triglycerides as well. So they can be present in some of the foods naturally, but these glycerins are again used as an additive as well, and they are allowed to be used in many food products for different reasons. So if we talk about the most commonly used polyols, there are four polyols which are commonly used food additives, and they all have different functional properties for which they are actually used. So this is glycerol, sorbitol, mannitol, and propylene glycol. If we talk about this propylene glycol, it has got an undesirable bitter taste. So due to this factor, we do not use the higher amount of this additive in food. So it has to be used only in smaller amounts so that it does not impart any aftertaste to the final product. The sorbitol is one of the artificial sweetener that is added into food for the sweetening purposes, as well as it also gives a certain sensations. For example, it gives a cool sensation. So in many of the diet bubble gums you would see, or sugarless bubble gums you would see, they contain this sorbitol because it gives not only sweetness but also a good cooling sensation that is desirable in products such as bubble gums. Then the glycerine molecule, this is different in a way that it also improves the sensation and it gives a hot sensation. So this is a different sensation. Once the food has got glycerin in it, this would give you a hotter sensation. So this would be desirable in many products. Before discussing these things, I would also say that the polyols and glycerine, they are also they use as a solvent as well because they can dissolve certain flavors and colors. So this is again one of the reason that glycerine and this polyols, other polyols are used, especially this polypropylene glycol. These are used as solvents as well. They are used as dispersant of certain ingredients within the food system as well. So they can be these functional or technical reasons why we add these polyols in different food products. They again one of the another benefit of using these polyol is basically they are used in dietetic products. As I earlier said, for example, in bubble gums or in any other food products in which we want to reduce the glucose content because the diabetics they would be having problems if there are more amount of glucose they consume, or if they are consuming a food product that has got higher GI value, that means they would release high glucose. So in order to avoid glucose molecule, these polyols are used, and the examples include certain beverages, candies, gums, and ice creams. So they might add these diet products. They might include these sorbitol or mannitol or other sugar alcohols because they do not produce that high amount of glucose within the blood, and it does not create much stress on diabetic patients. There's a very good evidence that these sugars, they have got these sugar alcohols especially, they have got a good effect on our dental health. especially this mannitol or sorbitol, when they are used in the sweeter products, they do not help the growth of microorganism in the oral cavity. Rather, they discourage the growth of these microorganisms, so there is less incidence of dental caries if you use food products containing sugar alcohols. So this is how these polyhydric alcohols, they can have importance in many of the dietetic products, in many of the products which claim to be low calorie and which claim to be functional and good health improving foods. They are not, again, not very easily fermented like other sugars and other sugar based products. So that is a good thing about these products. But again, if they are not fermentable, it would mean that if we use higher amount of these in our diet, they can also lead to diarrhea or gas production or flatulence. So that is why they must not be used in higher amounts in many of the food. And consuming foods having higher amount of polyhydric alcohols can also create gastric troubles as well. So this factor has to be considered. Another aspect of these propylene glycol and glycerin is mostly that they are washed away before consumption in many of the food products as well. So this was all about the use of polyhydric alcohols, the benefits of polyhydric alcohols, and some of the limitations of polyhydric alcohols when they are used in the food industry.